Good morning, Commissioners, and I don't see Bob Dwyer in the hall. Is Bob here? Okay, I think we'll just forge forward. He is from Iowa, and as Mrs. Sapp well knows, our county administrator is not here because he is stuck in Iowa. So apparently the storm was significant in Iowa. So we know that for sure.
We're really glad you got the memo this morning to wear the right tie, so.
Thank you. The reason that this item was put on the agenda, and I am kind of pinch hitting for County Administrator Henry Yankowski, is because El Paso County and the Pikes Peak Regional Building Department have been recognized by the Carbon Monoxide Safety Association for the campaign that we began at this time last year to raise the level of awareness of the danger of carbon monoxide. The fact of the matter is carbon monoxide is odorless, it's colorless, you can't smell it, you can't feel it, you can't touch it, and it's deadly. And we all have sources of carbon monoxide in our homes. So I'm going to bring up Howard Brooks from the Energy Resource Center in just a moment, but I think we'll kind of start things off with, we have a brief video presentation that talks about not only the dangers of carbon monoxide, but the fact of the matter is that, that the sort of lowest common denominator carbon monoxide detector that we have in our home is not going to be the answer for everyone. So we'll roll that videotape and then we'll have Howard Brooks come up from the Energy Resource Center.
Carbon monoxide is an odorless, tasteless gas, but there are many odors that contain carbon monoxide, many of which you are familiar with. Everybody should have a carbon monoxide alarm in their home.
This is the time of year that it gets cold and everyone starts closing their houses up. No more open windows and open doors.
Do not warm your car up in the garage. You should never back your car up to any doors in your building and let that car warm up, because auto exhaust will work its way inside that building. If you were exposed to carbon monoxide automotively in your garage, those are very high dangerous levels. If you are over 400 parts per million of carbon monoxide, that would result in death in about 3 hours for a healthy adult. For someone that has respiratory problems or heart problems, that time is diminished exceptionally.
If it's over 200 parts per million in their house that we find, we would call 911, ask them to leave the house, and the fire department and utilities would arrive at that point.
Now, your local fire departments are putting their breathing apparatus on at 35 parts per million and are evacuating buildings before that alarm would make a sound in your house. Another odor that contains carbon monoxide is when you turn on your gas cooking oven. That odor you smell contains carbon monoxide, even though carbon monoxide itself is odorless. So you must be very careful using that appliance. You should never use them to heat your building. Even on the moderately cool days where you think, well, I don't want to turn the furnace on, I'll just use my gas cooking oven. That's an unvented appliance. Unless you've had it tested for carbon monoxide, you have no idea how much carbon monoxide is being generated by that appliance. One of the simplest things that anybody can do, first off, get a carbon monoxide alarm. Even if it is a high level, get one. You'd be better off getting one that has a digital display. You need to know it's still a high level alarm. It won't go off until over 70 parts per million has been reached in that alarm. It has to delay, but the digital display will tell you if it's over 30 parts per million. And so you need to know if there's any digital display showing on your alarm. Don't wait for it to alarm. Call somebody to get your house checked for carbon monoxide, your appliances checked for carbon monoxide. If you have a gas furnace, a gas water heater, a gas fireplace, all of those appliances should be tested to be operating within manufacturer's operating specifications. They should be tested to see that they are not producing dangerous levels of carbon monoxide?
At this time, Regional Building Department has one of these carbon monoxide detectors on every single one of their inspectors. So when you have an inspector come to your home, they're testing for carbon monoxide. That's just one more layer of protection that PPMCA and RBD are trying to protect our citizens.
As a homeowner, you may be in a chronic environment and you may not know it because your alarm is not making a sound. So it's very important that you understand that. There are low-level monitors available. They're going to cost you more money. A lot of people object at the cost. But what's your family worth? I see a lot of people eating out at restaurants and they're buying new cell phones and new cars, and yet they have a furnace that's 30 years old. They have a carbon monoxide alarm. They don't know if it even works because it's never made a sound. No one's tested it. The only way they've tested it is with testing the electrical components. They don't know if the sensor's working at all. We will replace our cell phones, our TVs, our computers, but for some reason our furnace is supposed to last 30, 40 years. We really need to be realistic about protecting ourselves in our homes.
So Commissioners, through the efforts and the support of the Pikes Peak Regional Building Department, we do have all of the PPRBD inspectors that are equipped with these low-level detectors. In addition to that, we have folks from El Paso County Public Health who are now equipped with that. We also have first responders. And there are so many anecdotal stories about how important this is. I'll share one with you from Pikes Peak Regional Building. One of their inspectors 3 weeks ago went into the home of an elderly lady, and as he walked in, his low-level detector went off. Their standard procedure is to step back out and let the device reset, and then go back in and see if it does it again. It did. At that point, they determined that she had chronic low-level, not enough to set off the high-level detector, but it was there all the time as a result of a malfunctioning furnace. He was able to report that after she replaced the furnace, resolved the problem, he went back to inspect the new furnace installation, as Pikes Peak Regional Building does. The lady who had been on oxygen and using a walker was not on oxygen and was walking on her own. So those kinds of real-life stories, and I want to bring Howard Brooks up. Howard is with the Energy Resource Center here in Colorado Springs. The Public Information Office met with his folks the other day, and they're dealing with this very much on a daily basis. Thank you, Howard.
Thanks, Dave. Madam Chair, Commissioners, just want to make you aware of a few things that are going on in our county regarding carbon monoxide. In 2012, the Energy Resource Center partnered with the Area Council on Government and Tom Gonzalez at Environmental Health to create a carbon monoxide task force. We have a group of people that have been meeting for 3 years to talk about raising the level of awareness of the problem, the danger, and how to prevent it. So I want to encourage all of you to, to have a working, high-quality carbon monoxide detector in your home. Get your furnace inspected at least every other heating season, change your furnace filter. All those things will prevent people from running into a situation where they can get sick or die. Our staff replaced a heater for an elderly gentleman a couple of months ago, and he just bought the home. He bought it in an estate sale. The previous tenant there, or the previous owner, had been elderly. And I asked, what did she die of? And he said, well, she had some kind of neurological, disorder that killed her. And I showed him his heater, and the back of the heater was completely rusted out. All of the exhaust from the furnace was going right into the home. So fairly sure that carbon monoxide was a factor in the death of the previous owner of that home. And this gentleman was saved because we discovered that and replaced that heater for him. That's one situation of many. We do work for low-income families who tend to live in the older, leakier housing stock. These folks are living with a lot of dangerous conditions for carbon monoxide, and what the Energy Resource Center does is we go in and we mitigate all those circumstances. But again, I'm glad that there's attention here. A shout out for regional building. Our regional building department has now been recognized, all over the country as one of the leading preventers of carbon monoxide issues. And again, part of that is having a detector on all the inspectors every time they go into a home. So great work by Jack Arrington and the staff over there. Thank you.
Commissioner Clark.
Before you go, Howard, just a couple of questions too. Maybe this is more of a mechanical question I'm assuming yearly you should have, at least annually, you should have your heaters checked for any leaks. But I think of older folks who are in their homes a long time, they just don't think about it, or they're afraid to spend the money.
Right.
Or if they call a regional building, they're afraid an inspector's gonna come and then say, well, you need to buy a new furnace, and they don't have the resources to buy the new furnace.
Yeah.
So can you give some recommendations to, let's say, I'm in my home, I've been there a long time, I'm on a fixed income, what the process is to be able to utilize your organization to be able to help me to just even get it checked to make sure it's safe, and then number two, if it's not, then what happens?
Sure. The Energy Resource Center is really the only free help in town for people who have a heating emergency or have a home that needs to be made more efficient. And folks can just call our office, and we'll try to find a way to get out there and help them. There are definitely situations where if people make just a little bit too much money to qualify for different free programs we have available, we have some other donations and foundations that can help with that as well. So, 6 out of 10 of the homes that we serve have retired people living on fixed incomes, and we go into homes where folks are living on, $700, $800 Social Security, and they have a $300 utility bill.
Right.
And we're able to go in and drop that bill down by making their home more efficient. So, I'd encourage them just to call our office.
So what is the phone number to for someone to call?
591-0772, and that's
Okay.
area code 719. Or they can go on our website, which is erc-co.org.
Okay, and then are you also providing any carbon monoxide detectors or anything for folks that might qualify, and maybe that's, I don't know, Dave, if Regional Building has a program as well to encourage people to include the carbon monoxide detectors in their homes?
Right, so every home that the Energy Resource Center takes care of, we make sure that when we leave, there are working carbon monoxide detectors. And then also through the task force, we've raised some funding, and we have detectors available that we've been distributing through the Project COPE agencies for low-income families.
Okay, thank you. That's it. That's my question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Howard. I would say one anecdote to the end of that. We had the opportunity to announce the program whereby NACO and the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the municipal leagues had all come together and got the price of a prescription medication for heroin overdose reduced dramatically. And when we met with the Energy Resource Center, the idea came up, gosh, could we mobilize the same forces to see if we could develop some volume and get the price of these low-level carbon monoxide detectors reduced. So I think that would be a great initiative and something that you can kind of take back to the folks in Washington and see if we can get some momentum behind that. Those low-level carbon monoxide detectors are in the $80 to $100 range. Imagine how many more people would be willing to kind of step up if they were in the $35 range. So anyway, something for all of us to kind of look forward and work on. That concludes our report today. We were going to have the presentation from COSA to Commissioner Heisey, who of course sits on the Regional Building Commission, for that great work that's being done over there. But it is interesting and terrific to note that we are being recognized nationally for the effort here in El Paso County.